really, the goal is just to use our stories to bring veterinary medicine to life for the pet caretakers of the world. And we're doing it because we believe that educating these caretakers is the most powerful thing that we can do to improve the life quality of all of the pets that we love. Hi, good morning, or afternoon or evening. I always say good morning because we record in the morning.
Yeah, but it could be any time.
It could be any time. But it will be either probably morning, afternoon, or evening.
Most likely. It's probably not like 1 o'clock at night.
What would that be? Night.
Good night.
Oh, but good night feels like a weird thing to say. Anyway, all right, so I'm Dr. Natalie Keith.
And I'm Dr. Mariah Goodall.
This is Vet Tales.
All right.
Let's be really transparent right off the bat.
What, that it feels like we've had this conversation before?
And it's not deja vu. We actually have had this conversation before because we tried to do this podcast and then realized at some point after trying to stop the recording that we had never been recording.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is going to just make this even better.
I think so. Now we've
It's like rehearsal.
Yeah. We can cut out all of the off-topic and...
No, we won't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we will. But at least, at least we do have more of an idea of what we wanted to cover.
Right.
Instead of just completely winging it.
Yeah, being like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's Responsible Dog Ownership Month.
Yes. Or pet owner. Was it pet or dog?
I think it was dog.
Okay, well, we'll call it pet.
But we're going to call it pet because cats are honestly just as much of a commitment.
Yeah, I actually decided my next dog is going to be a cat.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So anyway, for the cat lovers out there, we see you. Mariah was looking at the list of different options of things that are happening in September, which is the month we're in, apparently, and halfway now.
Right.
And thought responsible pet ownership would be a good broad category, like something everyone could benefit from.
Yeah, for sure. Because hopefully everyone who listens to us is at least interested in owning a pet.
Yes.
I can't imagine
why you would do this to yourself if you didn't have or were interested in having a pet.
Yeah.
Maybe they just really, what if it was, one of our family members who just really liked us?
I don't have any family members who don't have a pet.
Well, I know. I had to be pretty broad there because I don't think I know either.
Maybe we're very soothing because, I listen to stories.
Oh my gosh, my brother
asleep.
Doesn't have a pet right now.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We just lost their last one this summer. So I do. I have a family member.
Okay.
Now, I don't think he's listening to the podcast. My sister-in-law might because she's kind of a podcast kind of gal.
Uh-huh.
So there you go.
So, hey, Zoe.
Yeah, hi, Zoe. It's so good to have you with us today.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, all right.
Okay.
Cool. So let's do it. Let's talk about responsible pet ownership.
Right. So I think this is like an AKC thing, really, which is American Kennel Club, if you don't know. And really they, a lot of purebred dogs, I think, get a lot of backlash for being purebred.
Yeah.
But also AKC does a lot to support all dog ownership. They have all sorts of programs, not just for dogs that are registered with them. And so this is one of the things that they do just to kind of highlight that you shouldn't go get a dog on a whim.
Yeah. Because they are, even if your dog is a mixed breed, they are still some breeds.
Some breeds.
And breeds do have some pretty consistent traits about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My dad's dog is a shepherd mix, and she does the shepherdy things. She's suspicious of new people. She barks.
My shepherd is not suspicious of new people.
I think he was raised in a unique environment.
That's true, where he was around new people all day, every day.
Yes,
all
the time.
That's true.
Yeah. I think he would... So, growing up, we had shepherds, right?
Yes.
And we had this one who was just an amazing dog. And he grew up when my brother and I were young. We were in scouts. We were doing, all sorts of things. And oftentimes we would have people over to our house because we had a pool and a big backyard, and it was great.
You're the fun place.
We were the fun place.
Yeah.
And so he did get really used to having, a bunch of new people, and he wasn't suspicious of new people, but he was suspicious of new behaviors.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So when my parents lived in Florida, like bugs just run the world. So bugs, yeah.
Okay.
So like you
That
have
makes
to
sense.
have a bug person come, which we didn't have in Kansas. And so she would spray the outside of the house first.
And she was like, "What are you doing?
For someone,
are you searching for weaknesses in the perimeter?"
For someone to not come to the front door and come inside,
Okay.
was suspicious.
Okay, well, I respect that.
Yeah. So
I had this shepherd one time when I first started out of vet school. We still did like late night emergency call, and it was like down in a area of town that there was just, unfortunately, like a lot of drug use and like things like that, just to be honest. And so it's a little on the terrifying side because I'm not exactly a tough person. Just like if I were going to describe myself, tough isn't going to be in a lot of the adjectives. And so I had this German Shepherd that I actually got as an adult because he was trained to be a guard dog. Mm-hmm. And he was so chill. Like, he loved everybody. And I was like, he's a total failure. And so one day, my husband's best friend was, I was walking my dog outside. I've got him on a leash. And he's like, well, how's it going with your dog? And I was like, I think he's a dud. And he's like, well, let's just try. And I was like, what do you mean try? And he's like, you got a hold of that leash? I was like, yeah. And so he like bows up to me and he's like, whoa, no, no, like says some like man thing. I don't know if he said words or whatever, but he was just really aggressive and like kind of puffs his chest out. And that dog clacked his teeth in his face. I barely got that leash. Anyway, so that was a cool story. I was like, so he is protective. Look at that.
He does do his thing.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
He's not just indiscriminately like, afraid or like attacking everyone, but when the time comes.
He knows.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a huge side story.
Right.
Told you.
Right. I don't think we've even gotten to responsible pet ownership.
No, we haven't. AKC. Anyway, AKC.
Anyway. So they have this long list, and we kind of pulled out some bullet points. So first one is to remember that your pet is a lifelong commitment, or at least their life. Which if you're getting a small dog, like a Chihuahua or a Jack Russell, like you could be pushing 20 years.
Yeah.
Same thing with cat.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. 20 years on a cat. And for your larger dogs, it may be shorter, but it's still a decade or more.
Yeah. And it's their whole life.
It is their whole life. And so you're going through all of these phases from puppyhood and chewing up everything to adulthood when they're actually like fairly independent. Mm-hmm. And then once they reach their senior years, now you have a greater investment again. Because
of time and energy and money, possibly.
Yep.
Yeah. So, for sure.
So remembering all of that before you get the dog. And if you've already gotten the dog, just further preparing.
Yeah, be aware.
Be aware that...
Adjust the monitor, as we like to say.
Yeah.
Adjust your expectations.
Because they're not going to just, like...
become a dog that they aren't.
Yes.
There's the whole nature versus nurture. It's like, you can take two dogs that, from the same litter and raise them in completely different environments, and they will have different experiences. And, like, I have owners all the time that are like, we don't really know what happened in his history before we found him, kind of thing. And so, you may have some different traumas in their past that cause certain behaviors to manifest, but ultimately, a shepherd is a shepherd, and a husky is a husky, and a basset is a basset. Mm-hmm. And so they will have these similar kind of underlying needs, and like especially physical, like grooming or exercise needs or behaviors, but also just like their personalities can be similar.
Yes, they can.
So how do people make the choice?
So
if we haven't chosen
yet, your veterinarians are great.
Yeah.
Resource.
We love to help people make the right. If we weren't here to help people like make good choices about their pets, like we wouldn't have this podcast. Right. So by evidence, I would say, use us as a resource.
Use us as a resource.
Clearly care.
For sure. And we have a lot of experience with different breeds, in the clinic, but also like hearing other people's stories. And so we can help. We can guide you there. AKC has a really wonderful quiz.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a purebred or guidance on what sort of mix to get, they have a great quiz. I always end up with a pointer.
A pointer?
Yeah.
No kidding. Well, and look at that. That
Right.
is strong in your history.
It
Do you
is.
think that having a pointer that was the best dog ever influences
that?
the clicking?
Probably a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I would not want another dog like her.
Right.
But yeah, I always think that's amusing.
It is interesting. You know, I don't know if I've taken it. I should take it.
You
I
should.
guarantee you it will not say German Shepherd.
No.
It won't. It will probably say a pit bull.
It probably will. I imagine.
Yeah. They're my jam.
They're pretty great.
Yeah, for me,
They-
they're perfect.
Well, they fit a lot of families.
They really do. Especially, you know, I think that this is like an excellent point to circle back on nature versus nurture. You know, when they are raised in a loving home, they are extremely loving and loyal dogs. The aggressiveness that they take a bad rap for a lot of times is actually inter-dog aggression. And a lot of that is, again, lifestyle. Some of them are more driven to it. But I like a pit bull because they're honest. Like, as soon as you look at that dog, he's like, we're friends, or we are definitely not friends.
Yeah.
And it's very rare for them to send you mixed signals. So you know what you're working with pretty quickly.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Which some breeds aren't honest, and that can make dealing with them a little bit more difficult and less suited for a family.
Looking at you, Australian Shepherds.
Cattle dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. They got a poker face.
They do. You don't know they're coming.
No, you don't. And they're the silent, they're the snake in the grass until it is no longer in the grass, but rather attached to
Yep.
your appendage.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, man. God, I love them. But people love them. People
They
love them.
do.
They're good. I think they're good with their families. It's just like as veterinarians, we tread
Right.
lightly.
Well, and good with families, I think, kind of, for Aussies probably is really true, but I feel like for cattle dogs, I get a lot of people are like, they keep chasing the kids.
That's true. They
Yeah,
herd them in the
they
backyard.
Herd them.
Yes.
They will wear the kids out.
Yeah. And themselves.
And themselves. But yeah, you got to be careful of the little nips and everything.
That's true. They will do the little, I mean, they're called healers for a reason. They're technically an Australian cattle dog, but we call them healers for a reason. That's their nickname.
Yep.
Anyway, but I do love them. Where I grew up, that's all we had. People had either, you either had a blue healer or a red healer or a Labrador that hunted fowl. That was it. Those are the only 3 dogs that existed.
Because they had to be useful.
Yeah, they were. I mean, we were out on the farm. So, yeah, that was exactly it. And they would all the healers would just stay on the flatbeds of all of the farmers' dogs all day long and go with them wherever they went. And they would just lay on the flatbed. Do not approach.
Yep.
Do not approach.
No.
You make that mistake one time only.
Right? Don't go pet the dog.
No.
So yeah, you know, making sure, kind of just to reiterate the point, making sure that the dog you choose matches your lifestyle is going to help set you up for being satisfied with that dog, wanting to care for it for its whole life. And I think, I don't know what I think, it just left me.
Well, I mean, I would say that kind of just weighing all of those things into the big picture, like if you work a whole bunch and you're going to be gone a lot, then you don't need a super active dog. And then if you are on a tighter budget, don't get a dog that has to go to the groomer every 6 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Because that is a huge deal. Being aware of their medical requirements. Like if I know French Bulldogs are popular. I've seen the statistics. Please prepare yourself to see your veterinarian a lot. Find a veterinarian you like a lot first, then get a Frenchie.
Right.
Because you're going to get to know them.
Seeing them quite a bit because they're going to need their nose done. They may or may not need their palate done. Then they're going to develop allergies.
And this is all if they don't have spina bifida.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, at any point they could blow a disc or...
Absolutely.
Tear the cruciate. That happens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
their back ends are so weak.
Yeah. I still feel like they're less expensive than the English Bulldog, though.
Yes, I think they're less prone to dry eye, which is so
Yeah.
expensive. And
They don't get as many, like, skin fold dermatitis issues either.
And they're less likely to have weird hormone little hair loss things.
Oh,
that,
yeah. Yeah, if you have an older bulldog that still has all its hair, like, kudos to you. You are the exception to the rule.
There's a reason when you're watching the Westminster Dog Show, the bulldog that they're trotting out is like 18 months old.
Yeah. It goes downhill from there. Not that we don't love them, but, oy.
I mean, yeah, they're
You
sweet.
just have to know. They are sweet.
They make good family dogs.
I remember the first time I ever saw a bulldog in person, I was like, I don't know, maybe like 14, and the neighbors apparently had one, and it had gotten out of their yard and trotted across the field to come over to our house, and I like had a second where I was like, is it a dog? Is this not a dog? Like, I'm not sure exactly what's happening, but they are slightly alien
Yeah, they are.
in their conformation, their little faces. But then by the end of it, I was sure it was a dog, and I was petting it. So.
Yeah. I'm sure it was letting you. It was loving it.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like it sought me out because
Yeah.
it saw me outside playing.
Yeah, it's, there's a person.
I need to be pet.
Yep.
Anyway, okay. So, yeah, so you can take your quiz and decide, like, it's going to walk you through all those things that maybe you didn't even think about. Like, am I able to take this dog on leash walks? How big is it going to be? Do I have enough space in my apartment? How
Does
big
my
is the
apartment
poop?
have a weight limit?
Oh, yeah. That's so true. And some apartments, sadly, will have breed restrictions as well because dogs have a historical
Or-
bad rap.
Homeowners insurance.
Yeah, your dog is a mixed breed.
Yeah.
Is the answer to the question.
Right.
What dog is this? Mixed?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I know when we lived in Perkins, we had, I don't know, this really cheap homeowners insurance, and yeah, we were restricted on what breeds we could have.
Yeah, like Akitas, Dobies, Rots, Shepherds, Pits, Chow Chows.
Typically, yeah.
I think those are the most common ones you'll see restricted.
Yep. So.
Which I have seen all of those dogs bite people pretty intensely. So, I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think, insurance is based on statistics, so
Yeah.
they know why they're restricting that. But
Yeah.
So just
It's always the bad apple that ruins it for everybody.
It does. Although, Great Danes actually send the most people to the hospital.
I did not know that, but as I think through it, it doesn't surprise me just because of their size.
Their size, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they decide to bite someone, like, they're going to do some damage in a hurry.
Yeah.
I'm so scared of Great Danes. I probably shouldn't admit this, but yeah, like I had one clack its teeth in my face and felt the wind and my hair blew back, and I was literally 5 minutes earlier, like all up in this dog's mouth looking at his teeth and all this thing, and everything was fine. All of a sudden he like locks eyes with me and looks weird and launches himself over the table, and the owner like grabs the leash back. Anyway, apparently this is trauma hour for me.
Right.
But anyway, so you have to be really aware. Like, Great Danes seem really cool, and they are really cool, and I do love them. I just have a
Healthy respect for
their potential. And so, yeah, they, I think a lot of people think they're really cool, and they are, but you should definitely hang out with one for a day before you decide to adopt a really cute Great Dane puppy.
because they're cute puppies.
Oh my gosh, they're so
all
cute.
big.
And they have so much skin.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
But
when one can flatfoot look you in the chin, like sometimes you feel different.
You do, a little bit. But I think that moves us kind of to our next point. Like, Great Danes also have pretty high healthcare costs because they're so large. Their lifespan is pretty short. So if you are like me and you can't handle losing a dog
Before the absolute
end, like a Great Dane is maybe not for you.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of them will start getting cancer, at 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
I've seen them be 10 and 12 years old, but it's rare.
It is rare. Like, when you see when one of the technicians walks up and says, "So I have a 10-year-old Great Dane," you're like, what?
Wow. Right. But and then of course a lot of those dogs are mixed.
Yeah. Then you walk in and they're like shorter than you expected.
Yeah, and you're like, I get it now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and they also, just like their medicines, if they need them because they're so big, cost so much. Like, you have to double up on all your flea and tick pills. Like, so everything costs twice as much.
Yeah. And so I think that, kind of moving, in our next point is also insurance and like vet care costs. And so keeping that in mind, no matter what dog you have, if you have a Chihuahua who's going to live 20 years potentially, even when you compare it to a Great Dane who lives 8, your overall cost of that dog is about the same, to be quite honest.
That's an excellent point. I hadn't thought about it. Like, your monthly budget looks different,
Uh-huh.
but the lifespan of the pet, it would kind of equal out.
It would. And so, being prepared for what that brings, not only just like vet care costs, but food and toys and all the, grooming if you get a Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
And it lives 13 years.
Yeah.
And you're taking it to the groomer every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Or more often, depending on, if you're bare and you're running out in the muck and the mud all the time.
No doubt. He's a hot mess.
He is a hot mess.
That Shih Tzu. Boy. Anyway.
So, keeping that in mind, having, considering pet insurance.
Yeah.
For even your cats.
It's really, I feel like we end up bringing up insurance almost every podcast because it's becoming so prevalent across all topics. But pet insurance, for a cat, like, you can get it for like $10, $12, $13 a month. And it could save your bacon down the road.
Right. Because cats will get kidney disease.
They will if they make it long enough. And if they don't have kidney disease alone, they probably have it with hyperthyroidism. And that's only if your cat wasn't diabetic by 8. Because we didn't portion control it.
Right.
Got chubs. So it's definitely a sound investment, and it could save you a lot of heartache of like, how are we going to do this thing we need to do for our pet when we don't have the money to do it. We weren't expecting to have, let's say, a fracture repair or an X-lab, or, if you wanted to do chemotherapy or a splenectomy or anything like that is not necessarily on your radar, and all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of it, like, you got to figure out what to do, and insurance could be the thing that makes it possible.
Yeah, really helps you feel like you have the ability to provide the best care for your dog.
Yeah, to be able to do what you want to do.
Yeah. Because it's not necessarily that the most expensive option is the right option for you, but knowing that you can make that decision without money hanging over your head.
Yeah, without feeling like that maybe you're swaying your opinion because you can't afford to do whatever. It's like, well, I may not want to do chemo, but I know that I could if I felt like it was the right thing. Now I don't have to feel guilty about not being able to do it. Because that comes up in a lot of conversations too. Is I don't know that I would do chemo. It would depend on the dog. It would depend on, or the cat, and the type of cancer they had, and all the variables. But just knowing you could do it, I think gives you a lot of freedom in that decision-making process.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people don't even make it to an oncologist or an internal medicine specialist because, when we start telling them, well, you can estimate that it's going to be X number of dollars for your dog, and they're just like, ooh, nope.
Yeah.
Don't even want to go talk about the possibilities.
Yeah.
Because we can't afford them.
Yeah.
And then now, if you open up at least a conversation with those people who do those things, I would never.
No doubt.
I would never be an oncologist, but
I know, but they're out there. God love them.
Yeah, and they have a lot of knowledge, and they can really tell you what to expect. Because not all chemo for all cancers is what we think of.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Trussell and I were talking about it just the other day, and there's those ones that are just like a daily pill that you give at home. It does not have to be hard. I have a couple of cats on chlorambucil at home for lymphoma, and are doing pretty well, and that is technically chemo.
Yeah.
But it is no more complicated than, giving a pill for anything else, like an infection, and you're giving an antibiotic pill. But this is just, so it doesn't have to be what we think of in human chemo.
Right. Yeah.
Which pets tolerate it so much better too.
Yeah, because they live in the now.
Yeah, that's true. And for some reason, they just don't get as they don't get as nauseous. They don't get as achy. They seem to not really be fazed by it as much. But I don't know. Anyway, that's another podcast in and of itself.
Right. Sure.
Anyway. But yeah, I think that's the other things that we had talked about the first time we went through this was thinking through also, like, what am I going to do when I need to go on vacation? Having
a pet sitter, someone
or a
trusted,
boarding
or
facility, or yeah, your family member. Like, I just had a cat get diagnosed with diabetes a few days ago, and they were like, we're getting ready to leave town in 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, so who do we have in the family that we trust?
Right.
Who can you bribe with love to make them go give your shots to your cat twice a day for the entire time you're gone?
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, those are things that you have to, you know, be aware of that could be in your...
Have a plan for and recognize. Because oftentimes, you know, when you plan vacation, I know I do this all the time. I plan a vacation. I'm like, all right, here's my budget. And then it's like, oh, wait.
Yeah, the dogs.
Who's taking care of the dogs?
Yeah.
Or am I bringing the dogs? And then what does that add to...
Yeah. Well, like Ariana, one of the girls we work with, she's like, I won't go on a vacation I can't take my dog on. So I was like, well, kudos to you.
Right.
So and that's also awesome. I love that idea. But it just does limit then what she can or can't go do, which she's totally fine with because she made that decision, and that's the lifestyle that she's chosen for her and her pet. And so it's not that there's a right or wrong answer in any of this. It's about being aware of the commitment.
Yeah.
And like the dimensions of it. It's not as simple as pick up a puppy and pour out some dog food.
Right.
Ideally.
Just thinking to adopting Sadie.
Right.
That's really the mindset I had, and I learned real fast.
Yeah. How old were you when you got Sadie?
18.
Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, so we talked about this in the first time we recorded this podcast, was that I was 18. I had my first, like, I'm a grown-up making my own decisions about pets. And I went to the shelter, and there was this husky puppy, and I was like, oh, my stars, this is the luckiest thing in the world. And I brought her home, and she immediately developed this horrific bloody diarrhea. I was pretty sure she had parvo, but then she didn't. She ended up having just, like, nasty hookworms. So I had to, like, nurse her back to health, and then she gets better. And this, like, way before me even having vet school on the radar at this point, because I wasn't one of those kids who decided to be a vet at 4. And so, like you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. Nobody does that, Maria. So anyway, I get this this puppy. Now she's growing up, and she starts escaping the yard, not infrequently, because she's a husky. And so, like, sometimes we make these uninformed decisions, like we did at those times, and you adapt and you learn and you grow. But isn't it cool if you can make decisions more intentionally if you have the opportunity? So yeah, I think that's the whole point of it, is just being aware.
Yeah, knowing the full scope of what dog ownership entails.
Yeah.
Because I know
cats are so much easier, because, like, unless they get diabetic.
Right.
You know, you just, like, if you need to be gone for a couple of days, you leave the cat box, you have the feeder, you have a neighbor come check on them once a day. Nobody minds coming to check on the cat. People mind walking your, ill-behaved dog around the block while waiting for it to poop so they can pick it up. Like, nobody likes that. But cats are just, in general, less intense. Like, for most of them, unless you're getting fancy cats, like, the Persians and Himalayans and stuff, they are not going to the groomer. So you don't have to worry about that. There's just, their insurance is cheaper, their medications are cheaper. So until something goes wrong, which it does at times, then cats and dogs are more on par with, like, difficulty level. They're more difficult for us as veterinarians.
They are.
They do not play by the rules. But cats, if you're not sure, if you don't have an animal and you're, like, on the fence of, am I, like, ready to take on that kind of commitment, cats can be a nice middle ground.
They can. And they're, even in their day-to-day, like, you're talking about going on vacation, but day-to-day, they're a little bit less, too, because you
don't have to walk them.
You don't have to walk them. They oftentimes will entertain themselves to the level that they want to be entertained.
Yeah.
You don't
if they need more exercise, you can sit on the couch with the little string, like a laser light, and you don't even have to do anything there.
Yep. You just sit there.
Yeah. The worst part's the litter box for sure, which now they have those fancy robot ones that clean it for you, because apparently all cat owners don't like cleaning the litter box. Like, I think uniformly, nobody looks forward to that.
Yeah. I used to have one of those when we had a cat.
Did you like it?
When it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had to buy, like, the right litter. Like you couldn't even
or
get
it would like mess it up.
yeah, like the off-brand clumping didn't clump right, and if he like went potty right before it tried to scoop and it hadn't like clumped really yet,
Then it would gunk it.
yeah. So it was still some maintenance, but it was easier than
Maybe they've made improvements.
I'm sure they have, because this was like almost 10 years ago.
Wowie.
I'm old.
Yeah. I'm older, but yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah, we had one. I actually copied my sister. She is a born cat person. She's adapted to be a dog person as well, but cat person is like in her blood. And she had found this one litter box that was cheap. Like there's no like mechanisms in there, but it rolls to its side, and then it has like this little filter. So you roll it on its side and it catches all the clumps, and then you straighten it back out and the clumps stay in the little box up top and all the litter falls back through the grate. It's freaking brilliant. And it was like $30.
Huh.
So, and it doesn't break.
Great.
Yeah.
That
So
sounds
anyway,
wonderful.
so yeah, I mean, because then all you're doing is taking the little tray and dumping it into like a sack or whatever, you know, you do with your cat litter once you take it out of the litter box. But
You're not having to like scoop and find it.
yeah,
Then you missed it.
yeah, exactly. It just seemed less.
Yeah. It does seem sound like less.
Yeah, it took less time. There's less digging. The spatula, have you ever had the spatula flick you?
Yes.
It's just
Especially
wrong.
when it's like on the bottom and you're
Yes,
like
and you're trying to chisel it, and then like the lever just flicks it.
yeah.
Oh, it's so not cool. Anyway, but cats are great. Anyway.
They are great. I mean, they really are less on a daily than your dogs are.
They really
and they're
are.
still like, my cat would like crawl on my shoulder. That was his favorite place to be. We'd
Yeah,
be sitting
the
on the
little
couch and he'd be
parrot.
like crawling on my shoulder, and he'd be purring so loud in my ear and drooling, because that's what he did when he was super happy.
Yes,
So
they
he
do.
would drool all down my shoulder. It was great.
And you loved it.
I did.
That's awesome. Yeah, we had a cat that his name was General Sterling Price. He was named off of a John Wayne movie. And he was the best cat ever. He had cross eyes and a broke tail and like several missing pieces of his ear from before when we found him. But he was the coolest cat ever. Anyway, yeah. And then once you find that cat you love.
It's hard to
Yeah, because cats are really wildly unpredictable in what they're going to be like. So we have these AKC guidelines for dogs. Cats do not have that.
No.
No, I mean, you can say, you know, Bengals and Savannahs are going to be more active. You know, the Bengal likes water. You know, they're very playful. All these things. You know, but when it comes to the domestic short hair cat, it is, or long hair, whatever. You know, your domestic cats, they are wildly unpredictable in their personalities, and so you just never know.
Yeah.
Part of the fun.
It is part of the fun.
It's like a box of chocolates. Never know what you're gonna get.
You do not.
No. But General, he was great. And that's what I find about cat people is they say, I don't like cats. I just like my cat. And I hear that all the time.
Yeah. I think that's really valid.
Yeah.
Because I'm really not a cat person, but I would take that cat again.
Yeah. Yeah. I am. I resonate with all of that. My husband is a cat person, so that's so cute because they like just flock to him. We have 3, and they just watch his every move. They just love him so much. Anyway, he can take, like, if there's a neighborhood cat that comes by, within 2 to 3 days, he's able to pet this like wild cat. I don't know what it is, but anyway, cat whisperer, I guess.
Sounds like it.
Yep. Anyway, all right. Anything else you want to cover on responsible pet ownership?
I don't think so. We got through our list and got wildly sidetracked multiple times.
As we do.
As we do.
Yeah.
But I think it gives everyone a good foundation for what to think about. And
Yeah. The time, the energy, the physical demands, the money, the insurance, the grooming.
And really, I mean, if you do have questions, reach out to your veterinarian. We're experienced pet owners.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, you know, if we haven't experienced a breed personally, we have a staff member who has.
Yeah. And, you know, dog trainers too. Like if you've already made a choice that you're like, eek, I don't know what to do now. Dog trainers can be a wonderful resource to help you manage your breed and like learn how to deal with them and help with some of their quirks to make it a mutually enjoyable relationship.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cool. As always, if you know how to find us at Northside Veterinary Hospital, we're here to ask, or for you to ask all your questions, and we'll answer them to the best of our abilities, because that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
All right, we're off to work now.
Yeah.
Yay! All right, bye, guys.
Bye.